There will never be another manager like Jose Mourinho, and to understand why, we need to go back to the start.
Please don't call me arrogant because I'm European champion. So I think I'm a special one.
No, I'm talking even further back than that. You see, Jose stood out from the very start because a lot of managers these days get their experience on the pitch and they get their role from their ability to play football rather than their ability to manage a football team. And you'll see varying success with this. You have managers like Pep Guardiola who won the European Cup and La Liga both as a player and a manager. Carlo Ancelotti won the European Cup as a player before becoming an extremely successful manager. Even modern day managers like Xavi Alonso, he won the World Cup, 2 Euros, 2 Champions Leagues, and he looks to be on his way to being one of the all-time great managers as well. Of course, you have the other side of the coin with players not successful as managers. I'm thinking of Rooney, Lampard, Gary Neville. Comparing those to Mourinho, who did play football, but only in the Portuguese league with Rio Ave, who he had less than 100 appearances for, it's not exactly like for like. Now, I'm not saying what makes Mourinho different is he's the first manager to not be a player or anything like that. We've had Sir Alex Ferguson not be the best footballer. Arsene Wenger wasn't that successful, but obviously an incredible manager. What actually makes Mourinho different is when you go to the very start. Because after his footballing career, he didn't then try to be a manager. He actually became a teacher, a PE teacher in a school. So for me, what really makes him different is his ability to dig in and turn it around when it all seems unlikely. Because at this point in life, after a pretty much failed football career, you could see many giving up on their dreams. But for Mourinho, he gave it one last shot. Much like in a football game when you need to turn it around, he was there from the start. He didn't give up on his dreams. He left teaching and tried to work his way up through the system with some youth coaching in the lower leagues of Portugal. Then finally, he got his big break from the most unlikely source. English legend of a manager, Sir Bobby Robson. And to be successful, sometimes you need that bit of luck, and that's exactly what he got here, because he didn't come in as a manager, he didn't come in as assistant manager, he came in as a translator. Yep, Robson had just been appointed as the sporting manager, and simply he needed someone that could speak English and Portuguese. But Jose knew this was his one shot, so he'd bring Robson binders and binders and binders of information on upcoming opponents to show him his knowledge, to help him as a coach. And they were clearly useful because Robson ended up appointing him assistant manager and reflected back to those times, describing Mourinho's notes as world class. Now at this point, Mourinho is just trying to soak in as much knowledge as he can from Sir Bobby Robson. They'd done it together at Sporting. They'd done it together when they moved to Porto together before the big one. They got their move to Barcelona. Now, arguably, this is Jose Mourinho's first real time in the spotlight. How would he handle the pressure? And it was about to be an even bigger pressure on Mourinho because at the end of the season, Sir Bobby Robson stepped down as the Barcelona manager and Louis van Gaal came in to take over. This is the point when Mourinho really showed off his analytical mind. He ended up being the bridge between Barcelona's B team and the first team. This included leading training sessions, tactical discussions, and even recommending players to move to the first team. It just shows in life how hard work and dedication mixed with a little bit of luck can really change your life. But it's more than just hard work that sets Mourinho apart. He also has a God-given talent. Mourinho's genius probably became apparent to the masses in 2004 after he knocked Sir Alex Ferguson's Man United out of the Champions League. Those scenes of Mourinho running down the touchline showed his genius, but what they didn't show was the fact that he achieved this in just 4 years of management. Because after his stint at Barcelona in 2000, he moved to Benfica for his first real appointment as a manager. And it was a tough start because after just a few months he resigned due to conflict with the board. From here he had to take over another club in Portugal, but he managed in just a year and a half to bring them to the highest ever league finish. That was before he secured the biggest job in Portugal at the time, Porto. He showed his genius immediately, winning 11 of the last 15 games and gaining Porto a spot in the UEFA Cup. During this time, Mourinho showed incredible tactics with a unique approach of defence first. He played the cards he was dealt perfectly because he had a really solid defence with a central defensive mid sitting in, not just for defensive actions, but so he could turn that defence into attack and make use of their star man, Deco. Mourinho's genius was apparent immediately because in his second season, he broke the league's point record and was only defeated twice. And unfortunately for me, that wasn't it. Not only did they win the Portuguese Cup, but they went on to beat my team in what can only be described as the most heartbreaking of finals ever. They beat Celtic in the UEFA Cup final. The only positive spin that I could possibly put on that match is what Mourinho did in his second full season at Porto. Because after defeating Celtic in the Champions League that next season, he beat Real Madrid, Man United, who had Cristiano Ronaldo at the time, and in the final, they won 3-0 against Monaco. Jose Mourinho took that side to a UEFA Cup, then in the very next season with the same squad basically, took them to the Champions League final and won it. It wasn't just his tactical genius, it was his way to think outside of the box to every other manager at the time. And he immediately proved it the next season when he joined the biggest league in the world. Roman Abramovich wanted him, Mourinho signed for Chelsea. He immediately did it differently. He didn't shy away from the media. He embraced the media.
We have top players. And I'm sorry, I'm a bit arrogant. We have a top manager. Again, please don't call me arrogant.
He called himself the special one. He called himself a top manager. And he didn't go out and sign your typical players. He didn't sign anyone from Spain, Italy, Germany. He signed his players initially from Portugal. The likes of Ricardo Carvalho and Paulo Ferreira. Not only did he know them from Porto, but they knew his defensive style. They were a tough and dirty team, but at the same time, they were disciplined and smart. They were the only team in that league not to get a red card that season. In his first season, he almost did the unthinkable with Chelsea, an invincible season. Now, they did lose one game that season to Man City, who weren't the same Man City they are today, but they did break a different record. Arguably a more ridiculous record of conceding only 15 goals in 38 appearances. That was with 24 clean sheets and only 2 games where they conceded twice. I'm sure you know what happened next. In the most competitive league in the world, Mourinho in 5 seasons at Chelsea got 3 Premier Leagues and 4 domestic trophies. Throughout the rest of his career, he never shied away from his roots. You can go to Tottenham Hotspur's All or Nothing documentary and he explains exactly how he wants his players to play.
Beer. And the way the game is going, they know Tommy has a yellow card. I promise you, they know. I promise you. And I have to say that Kyle Walker has a yellow card, Zinchenko has a yellow card, Sterling has a yellow card. So don't be a good guy. And now, how do we score a goal?
Now I know I used the Tottenham example, and at Tottenham he really didn't have that much success, but I do think it's forgotten. They actually got that Tottenham side to a final, and then he didn't get to play it because Levy sacked him, and look how that's worked out for them so far. And I also think that people crucially underestimate Jose Mourinho. They just have him down as this defensive, park the bus coach, and that's all he ever was. But that's not actually true. In the 2011-2012 La Liga season with Real Madrid, he broke La Liga record for the most goals scored, 121. It's still not beaten to this day. And what that shows you about Mourinho is that he's adaptable. He can adapt his strategies. Obviously, he wouldn't park the bus when he has Cristiano Ronaldo in his absolute prime to utilise. It's what the best, or what the special managers do. They adapt to their scenarios. Now, I've spoken in depth about Mourinho, his talents, his genius, his hard work, all of that combining to have all this success. I could go on about his time at Inter Milan, his time at Real Madrid, his time at Roma. But the real thing that sets Mourinho apart for the rest of his time, his arrogance and his antics. Love him or hate him, you can't deny he's entertaining. You have stories like in 2005 where he was banned from Stamford Bridge So, rather than accepting the ban, he snuck into the stadium 7 hours early in a laundry basket so he could give his speech to the players. Or the time when Mourinho waited in the car park after the game to confront the officials for their refereeing performance, similar to how he got caught after an El Clasico game that didn't go his way, yelling at the ref, "You're quite an artist, how you like to screw professionals." One of my favourite elements is when you can assess these elements from the future, like his time at Man United, where he claimed his greatest achievement was getting that team to second, which at the time seemed like a dig, but now I think he was being truthful. Or this all-time quote:
3-0, but also mean 3 premierships, and I won more premierships alone than the other 19 managers together. 3 for me and 2 for them. Respect, man, respect.
Or his time at Tottenham, where the All or Nothing documentary was following him and the rest of the squad round. It was just a masterpiece of entertainment. You could make another TV series out of his confrontations and arguments with Pep Guardiola in their time at Real Madrid versus Barcelona. I watched pretty much every game that he managed Roma, and every time there was something going on, him and his backroom staff got a combined 29 red cards. That's excluding any actual football players. It's not just the passion, it's the emotion he brings and that connection he has with players. You saw it when he won a ridiculous treble with Inter Milan, and he ran into the Materazzi as he was trying to sneak off as he knew he would be leaving Inter, and they both cried together. You can see perfectly just how much he means to those players, or you can see it in Rome of just how much he means to those fans when he is abruptly sacked and all of the banners and the fans just displaying their love for him. Even to this day, he's such good value, currently managing at Fenerbahçe, and when a VAR decision was made for offside, which clearly wasn't offside, he had a screenshot on his laptop and put it in front of the TV cameras for everyone to see. Mourinho seems to be in the twilight of his careers, but for me, I still think he has a run with that Portuguese national team with all their superstars. He could do something really special to top off his ridiculous career. So, to conclude, there will never be another manager that has that level of genius mixed with that level of personality to match Jose Mourinho. At the end of the day, if you want to learn more about football, please subscribe to the channel and watch this video on how Inzaghi turbocharged Inter with no money.